I stood in the kitchen, staring at the pot of coffee I had brewed, but suddenly had no desire to drink. The rich aroma filled the air, but it barely registered. My phone buzzed on the counter, the vibration rattling against the granite like a tiny warning before impact. I glanced at the screen. Marissa. My wife, or at least legally speaking, she still was. The message popped up, and reading it felt like being doused in ice water. Hey, just a heads up. Mom's hosting a small thing for Eli's birthday on Saturday. We kept it close, just family. Hope you understand. I read it once. Then again. My brain lagged behind my eyes, struggling to process the words. Just family. Eli was my son. My little boy. The one I had rocked to sleep when he was colicky. The one whose diapers I had changed in the dead of night while Marissa slept soundly beside me. The child whose laughter had filled my apartment just days ago. His first birthday, and I wasn't invited. My chest tightened like a fist had closed around my heart, squeezing until it hurt to breathe. My fingers curled around my phone, my pulse hammering beneath my skin. I couldn't just let this sit and fester. My hands shook as I pressed the call button. Marissa answered after 2 rings, her voice light, breezy, like she was discussing the weather. It's just a birthday, Cal. Don't make it a thing. Don't make it a thing. I clenched my jaw so hard I thought my teeth might crack. This wasn't some casual dinner or a get-together with her friends. This was Eli's first birthday. A milestone. One I had envisioned over and over, staying up late imagining the cake, the way his little face would light up when everyone sang to him, the way I would lift him high above my head and tell him he was the best thing I had ever made. And now she was brushing it off, acting like I was unreasonable for wanting to be there. I forced my voice to stay even, but it came out rough, raw. He's my son too, Marissa. How is this not a thing? She let out that small, exasperated sigh of hers. The one she used when she was done explaining something, when she thought I should just accept it. Look, it's Mom's thing. She wanted it small. You'll see him another day. Another day. Like I was some distant uncle or a weekend visitor. Not his father. Anger surged, hot and bitter. My grip on the phone tightened. Before I could stop myself, I hung up and immediately dialed Doreen, Marissa's mother. She answered with that practiced, polite tone that barely hid her irritation. Callum, what's this regarding? I didn't waste time. Why am I not invited to Eli's birthday? No hesitation. No pause for thought. She was prepared. It's more of a maternal side event, nothing personal. We're keeping it simple. Nothing personal. I almost laughed, but the sound got stuck in my throat like a jagged stone. Eli was my child, my blood, and yet they were boxing me out like I was some estranged relative who sent a card once a year. My fingers curled into a fist as she continued, her voice firm now. You're making this harder than it needs to be, Callum. It's one day. One day. The most important day in my son's life so far, and I wasn't allowed to be there. I hung up without another word. My hands were trembling so badly, I nearly dropped the phone. I turned away, stalking into the living room, my breath coming hard and fast. And then I saw it, the half-finished Lego tower on the coffee table. Eli had been playing with it the last time he was here, his tiny hands carefully stacking the red and blue bricks, his bright giggle filling the room when the tower toppled over. The memory hit me like a punch to the gut. I could still feel the warmth of his little body curled against me, still hear the way he said "dada" in that soft, sweet voice. And they were taking him away from me. Something inside me snapped. A raw, burning ache turned into something sharper, something resolute. Fine. If they didn't want me there, if I wasn't family enough for them, then I wouldn't be a part of it. I wouldn't beg for scraps of time with my own son. If they wanted me gone, I'd show them what that really meant. I grabbed my phone again, my fingers hovering over the screen. I wasn't just looking for a way out of my house. I was looking for a way out of this manufactured mess they had created, this role they had shoved me into. They could have their maternal side event. They could celebrate without me. Because I was done. Eli might not remember this birthday, but I would. I would remember the sting of this moment for the rest of my life. And I sure as hell wouldn't let it happen again. The driver glanced at me in the rearview mirror, his hands steady on the wheel as he guided the car away from the airport. The town unfolded outside my window, wooden storefronts dusted with snow, mountains rising in the distance, their peaks disappearing into the sky. First time in Jackson? He asked, his voice low and easy. I nodded, sinking deeper into the seat. Yeah, he chuckled. Needed a change? I exhaled, watching the snow-covered trees blur past. Something like that. He nodded knowingly. You picked the right place. Nothing like these mountains to clear your head. I didn't say much after that. Just listened as he pointed out landmarks, a bar that supposedly had the best chili in town, a stretch of road that led to a quiet lake. But mostly I just watched. Watched as the past faded behind me and the unknown stretched out ahead. And for the first time in a long time, I let it. No one here knew me. No one cared why I had come. And that was exactly what I needed. The shuttle wound its way up a narrow road, trees pressing in on either side, their branches heavy with snow. The world felt smaller, quieter, as if the mountains themselves were swallowing me whole. And then suddenly my cabin appeared, nestled against a hill, dark wood and wide windows gleaming softly in the fading light. Wes, the driver, pulled up beside the steps and threw me a casual wave. "Enjoy the solitude, man. Holler if you need a ride back." I thanked him, slung my bag over my shoulder, and climbed the short steps, the cold biting at my fingertips as I fumbled with the key. The lock clicked open, and I pushed inside, then stopped in my tracks. A fire was already roaring in the stone fireplace, flames licking at the logs, filling the space with flickering warmth. The heat wrapped around me instantly, chasing away the mountain chill. Plush fleece blankets were draped over a wide leather couch, and the massive floor-to-ceiling windows framed nothing but endless snow and towering trees stretching far into the distance. Outside, beneath a small overhang, a hot tub sent up curling tendrils of steam, the water bubbling in quiet invitation. It was perfect. Better than I had imagined in those angry, restless nights back home when I had booked this place on a whim. I dropped my suitcase and walked toward the windows, pressing a palm against the chilled glass. The silence here was thick, almost tangible, broken only by the soft pop and crackle of the fire. It felt like a reset button had been hit. No ringing phone, no passive-aggressive messages, no one telling me how I should feel. Just me in this place. Pulling out my phone, I snapped a quick photo, the fire glowing behind me. No caption, no explanation, just the moment. Then I tossed the phone onto the couch without checking the likes or messages and grabbed a drink from the small fridge the lodge had stocked. The first sip was crisp and biting, and I sank into the couch, stretching my legs toward the fire, letting the warmth seep into my bones. This was what I had needed. Not just a trip, but clarity. A reminder that I didn't have to beg for a place in anyone's life. The cabin smelled of pine and wood smoke, and I let my eyes close for a moment, listening to the wind whistle through the trees. I could have stayed home, could have fought harder to be at that party. But for what? A seat at the edge of the table, forced smiles while Doreen made her little jabs. The quiet suffocation of knowing I was only there because I had demanded it? No, this was better. I opened my eyes and took it all in again. The exposed wooden beams, the thick woven rug beneath my feet, the firelight casting gold against the walls. It wasn't just an escape. It was mine. Something I had chosen when they had left me no choice at all. Draining the last sip of my drink, I set the bottle down and stood, unzipping my bag to unpack. Nothing much, just the thick sweaters and socks I had brought, the gloves I had grabbed last minute. But it felt good to settle in, to claim this space as my own. Stepping outside, the cold slapped against my skin, sharp and invigorating. I walked toward the hot tub, dipping a hand into the steaming water. Nearly too hot. Perfect for later. The sky was darkening now, the first few stars beginning to glimmer through the crisp night air. I stood there for a moment, hands in my pockets, breathing it all in. Back home, they would be setting up for Eli's party. Hanging streamers, cutting cake, laughter filling a house that didn't have space for me. A dull ache flared in my chest, a sharp pang when I imagined Eli's face lighting up, his small hands clapping in excitement. But I shoved the thought down. This wasn't about him. It was about them. About how they had decided I didn't belong. I turned back inside, shutting the door against the cold, and reached for another drink. My phone was lighting up now, like comments, maybe some texts. I ignored it. I didn't need their reactions, their validation, their guilt-ridden excuses. What I needed was this, the low hum of the fire, the solid weight of the glass in my hand, the silence that finally let me hear my own thoughts. Sinking back into the couch, I let my mind drift. Tomorrow, I would hit the slopes. It had been years since I had skied, but I had booked a lesson, planning to ease into it. The thought made my pulse quicken slightly, the rush of speed, the sting of icy air on my face, the sharp thrill of something new. Something for me. No compromises. No waiting for permission. I took another sip, letting the beer settle in my chest, and watched the fire. The logs shifted, sending a spray of sparks into the air, and for the first time in a long while, I felt the corners of my mouth lift into something real. A quiet, honest smile. They could have their party, their carefully curated version of the truth. I had this, and it was already more than they ever could have given me.